Hello and welcome back to Airport Ashley Chronicles. I'm Ashley Jackson, your host, and today I have an amazing guest. She is Ghanaian-Canadian cultural strategist, Miss Ivy Prosper. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I know we're going to go into a number of things, and you have a lot of great information to share to the audience. So you're currently in Ghana, correct?
That is right. Yeah, I'm here most of the time.
Okay. So born in Ghana, raised in Canada, now you've chosen to build your life back in Ghana. What was the exact moment when you knew that Ghana wasn't just a visit anymore?
You know, I didn't have a light bulb moment, because I know a lot of people talk about they came, they were visiting, they had a great time, and then they decided they wanted to move to Ghana. I didn't have one of those moments. I was actually coming when I first came. Well, it wasn't my first time, but when I came in 2011, it was only supposed to be a getaway to relieve some stress and some things I was going through. And then it turned into me staying for 2 years because I ended up getting work. So I started working, and through those 2 years of working and building relationships with people and seeing the opportunities in Ghana, when my contract ended, the job that I had, and I went back in 2013, the whole time I was in Canada, I was like, what am I doing? I was like, Ghana wasn't so bad. Ghana was it was a really great experience, and there's opportunities there for growth and development. And so I made the decision in 2016 to just leave the job I was at and then pack up and came in 2016. That was it.
Now, I know you've said in other interviews that Ghana's more expensive than what people think, and that it can take 2 to 5 years to settle as an entrepreneur. What was your experience from having your contract coming back? What advice do you typically give people?
Well, I usually tell people they should at least have like a year's living expenses before you make the move, because what people often don't realize is that Ghana landlords often ask for a year rent up front. So in asking for a year rent up front, if you have any savings, literally you drop a huge chunk of money all at once and then it's gone. Now you have to live. So it's a good idea to have at least 1 year of living expenses budgeted out before you make the move. That way you can spend that year trying to figure out what it is that you're doing and working and growing what you're doing while you're not stressed about money.
Yeah. And why are you so committed to telling people the hard truth instead of selling them the dream? Because I think it's important about the truth.
Well, one of the hard truths is the heat. Let me start with that, because I'm sweating. One of the hard truths is the heat. So yeah, like right now, while I'm seeing my friends in North America talk about the cold snap that's happening right now, there was a heat warning this morning when I looked at the weather. So prepare for the heat. Ghana can be really, really hot. But I'm really committed in sharing with people what the realities are, because I don't want people to fail. I want people to not feel like they're the only ones going through whatever challenges that they're going through, and to understand the immigrant experience. Because literally, you're an immigrant. Even though you may be a person of African descent, you're a Black person, you're moving to a Black country, you're amongst your Black people, and you might feel like, wow, I'm here, I'm amongst my people, it's gonna be easy, I don't have to worry about anything. But the reality is, there's cultural adjustments, and also you are an immigrant. People use the term expat sometimes, but you literally are going through what immigrants go through when they move to your country. When immigrants move to your country, they are learning new systems. They're learning how to adjust. They're learning how to say certain things. Same thing when you come to Ghana. You're learning a new country. You're learning how people operate. You're learning how people communicate. Even though it's an English-speaking country, sometimes there's miscommunication in the way that people say certain things. Like, there's certain phrases that people use that are different, that you might say something, like in Ghana, people say chillin' it means partying, but I think of chillin' as I'm just at home. I'm just chillin', watching a movie at home.
Right, relaxing.
But they say chillin', say they're partying. And so there's nuances of different things. So I think that I want people to know realities, because I want them to be able to have a good landing and a good adjustment when they make the move.
Okay. And so you're Ghanaian by birth, but grew up in Canada. And you're fluent, obviously, in multiple cultural codes. Do they still consider you a foreigner? Is it called Obroni?
Yeah, so Obroni is actually literally means white person. That's what it actually means.
Okay.
But Ghanaians have been using it now just to talk about any foreigner. So they'll dub you an Obroni if you're a foreigner. They tend to do that. I still get that because of my accent. Obviously, I don't speak like somebody who grew up here. We left when I was very young. I was 2 years old. It was just before my second birthday that we left. So I'm very Canadian and have there's American influence in Canada as well, because a lot of American media infiltrates Canada as well, being the neighbor to the north. So I have my adjustments that I had to make as well. And then people still hear me and think I just arrived. Like, I'm like, I've been here since 2016, and I had an Uber driver the other day. He was like, well, in Ghana, we don't do it that way. Just because you've arrived. And I'm like, I've been here 10 years. You don't need to tell me about what's going on here. I know what's happening here. And then he's like, oh, I thought you just came. The way you speak is like you're not from here. So I still get that whole foreign vibe on a regular basis from people. So you have to adjust. And that's one thing I learned was this is what my parents went through moving to Canada, because constantly people were always like, where are you from? Are you from here? Even though they've been living in the country for so long. Where are you from? Where are you from? You know, and sometimes my mom would be like, oh, I've been living here longer than this person, but they feel like I'm the newcomer because of the accent. So, yeah.
So how do you navigate being both insider and outsider simultaneously?
It's pretty interesting for me because of the fact that I actually can speak one of the languages and understand it. So I can be in spaces where people are talking and understand what's being said. So it allows me a little bit of access and understanding the mindset of some of the people and what's happening, knowing if I'm getting ripped off for pricing at the market, those kinds of things. And then at the same time, because I grew up in Canada and I did live in the US for a short period of time, I lived in Detroit and I've traveled in the US a lot. Throughout my whole life, we were regularly going to the US. I have an understanding of the American experience and the Black experience, especially because even I have friends who their families are descendants of people who came through the underground, people who came through the Underground Railroad to Canada and ended up in certain cities along the Canada-US border. I have friends whose families, some of them are still in the US, but then they have family in Canada as well, and they know that they have that lineage. So I have a lot of understanding and empathy, so I'm able to communicate on both sides and be able to talk to people about some of the things they should expect and how they should navigate when they're here.
Oh, okay. So what's the most Ghanaian thing you adopted that your Canadian friends find hilarious? And what's the most Canadian thing that your Ghanaian friends find weird?
Okay. Well, Ghanaians don't notice the difference between Canadians and Americans. They think that we're the same. So a lot of times they just call me an American.
Okay.
So the most Ghanaian thing, I've never had anybody say anything about that to me before. So I'm just like, yeah. I would say my sister, actually, because my sister came to visit recently. And, I think it's some of the phrases, like responses to stuff that I didn't do before. So like, for example, in Ghana, Ghanaians will be like, hey. And those are things that like I never did before, but I live here now. And if you want to communicate with the people and, get in the conversation, you have to do what you do when you're here.
Adapt. Absolutely.
So like my sister, when she hear me, like, she's like, wow, Ivy, you really adapted to, the Ghanaian lingo.
That's funny.
Because if something happens, like in Canada, when something would happen, I would have been like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Oh my goodness. But in Ghana, it would be like, hey. And I found myself doing that with the last time I was in Canada, actually. Something happened. I was like, hey. And my sister was like, what?
Well, at least in Canada, they do say a, but they say a, boat, a. So it's a little bit different.
It's like, oh, I know I know it. It's like, yeah, I know a. That's totally different than that. Hey.
An A. That's funny. Well, you worked on Ghana's Year of Return, and you've interviewed Barry Jenkins, Idris Elba, Akon. You've seen Diaspora Reconnection from every angle. What's the difference between someone coming to Ghana from the Instagram influence versus someone coming with a genuine intent to build?
Well, the person coming with a genuine intent to build has a tendency to have planned and taken time to research. And so they tend to be better equipped because they've spent the time looking at how to start a business, how to rent a place, how to get land, how to registered, ABCD. The person with the intent seems to have taken time to do that, which makes it easier for them to transition with the move. Where somebody who did it only on Instagram vibes is often not equipped because they're just going on the excitement that they've seen online. They've seen people at the parties, at the beach, at a festival, watching concerts, and they just look at it as, wow, it's like this every day. It's high energy and excitement. And they're not thinking about the aspect of, okay, you got to work and you got to find a way to make your money, do business, whatever it is that you're going to do to earn your income. And they forget it's not every day a holiday. It's not a holiday every day. People are living their regular adult lives, making their money, and then of course have their leisure activities in their free time. So somebody who's doing it only on the Instagram vibes tends to be less equipped, and they realize the vacation mode ends pretty quickly when you moved somewhere, because nobody's on vacation and partying every day anywhere. You know?
What is a misconception diaspora? What's a misconception diaspora bring with them to Ghana that frustrates you the most? And then how do you correct that without coming across as a gatekeeper?
I think that the misconceptions that people have usually dispel on their own from their own experiences. So for instance, I've had people who come and they're like, wow, they didn't realize what it was going to be like to have a Black doctor, to have a Black banker, to have like all those little things that you see these people in these positions, and then they're like the billboards of the Black people on all the billboards. And I think that because they're used to the environments they're coming from, that kind of, is an eye-opening experience. And then the myths of everybody being in poverty because of what you see over history, people start to be like, oh, I didn't realize that you can see stuff like this here. I didn't realize there were buildings like this. I didn't realize that people were driving these kinds of cars. So those kinds of stereotypes that they may have had about everybody, because yes, poverty does exist, because poverty is everywhere. And yeah, there's poverty in Ghana as well, but there's also the middle class, and there's also the rich, and then there's the ultra rich. So I think that people's minds change when they see there's actually, there's the different tiers of people when it comes to, income and class and all that kind of stuff here, just like there is anywhere else. So they realize that it's not just the poverty images that you always see. So I think that's one thing that reveals itself on their own without me having to say anything. They see it.
Yeah. You've been really public about challenges like customer service, infrastructure, the time it takes to establish yourself. What's something you wish that someone had warned you about before you made the move?
Ooh, I wish that I knew how challenging it would be when it comes to with the customer service, because you really have to practice patience. And I mean, with the customer service, it's like in all areas. So let me use Uber as an example, because that one is the one that I deal with the most. So you'll get an Uber driver who will say, I don't want to go. They'll call you when you make your request and then say, where are you going? And you're just like, well, the map is going to show you where we're going. And then they're like, well, there's certain places I don't go. And you're like, what do you mean? And they're like, I don't go certain places. And then, I can understand not wanting to go to somewhere if it's a safety issue, but generally speaking, most places in Ghana are pretty safe. I think there's one area that a lot of drivers don't want to go to because they said there's phone thefts and stuff in that area. I get it. But most places, it's not like that. I had a driver once who said he only wants to drive around his house. He doesn't want to work out too far from his house. And I'm like, but aren't you an Uber driver? Isn't your job driving from point A to B? And so for me, the frustration, I wish I was warned about the service level, was it's frustrating because you have to actually time yourself, because I can't just be like, okay, it only takes me 30 minutes to go to this place and then order my ride just a few minutes before. I literally have to give myself an additional 30 minutes in case it takes me that long to get a driver to agree to take me. Because sometimes I can get 3 drivers cancel before I get a 4th one who says, okay, I'll take you. So that's something. And then also, I wish that I knew about how important it is. I mean, I did this already anyway, because I'm very good at networking and just going to places on my own, but I would have been even more intentional about trying to break through some of the cliques, because Ghana is very cliquey. people with respect to the schools they went to. Ghanaians are very huge into schools, just like how Americans have their fraternities and their sororities and are very, into their fraternities and sororities, and your circle of people within those organizations can connect you to certain things. Ghanaians are like that with their schools. So somebody will, and it's at schools at all levels. So they'll be like, I went to primary school with so-and-so. We knew each other from this school. And you might have also never met the person. And just because you went to the same primary school, even if it wasn't the same time, you suddenly are up here.
Associated, yeah.
Yes. So for example, there was a woman I know, we were at a networking event, and then they were having conversation. And then she said, and this was a 30-something-year-old woman talking to a woman in her 60s. And she said, oh, I went to Wesley Girls School. Now the woman in her 60s, hey, I also went to Wesley Girls. Suddenly they had this bond, two totally different generations. They weren't at the school at the same time. She's in her 60s, this woman is in her 30s. But the fact that they went to the same school, now this woman says, I'm going to help you connect with the head of marketing at such and such company. I have to help my fellow Wesley school girl. So Ghanaians are very cliquey. They have WhatsApp groups of the schools they went to. And yeah, so breaking through and trying to make connections with people can sometimes be challenging because you're kind of outside the circle. So you have to be very intentional in trying to get to know people and meet people. So I wish I knew about how strong that was here. Now I know, and I tell people.
So, okay, because what does Akwaba welcome really mean then? Because welcome doesn't necessarily mean entitlement when we're coming from the States or from another part of the world, right? And how should the diaspora show up with humility and accountability when they come, knowing that it is cliquey?
Well, Akwaba is, welcome. Ghanaians are nice and very welcoming. I'm not saying they're not welcoming because of the cliquiness. The cliquiness, really, I brought that up because, when you're an adult and you're trying to build and develop friendships, yes, it's harder developing friendships when you're older already as it is, because it's like when you're in university and high school and all that, that's when your college years, that's when people tend to build a lot of friendships, or in work environments. So when you move to a new country and you're an adult, it's hard to build new friendships. And then that added layer of the cliquey school thing, that's why I mentioned it. But generally speaking, Ghanaians are very friendly people, and the Akwaba is the Akan word for welcome, and they welcome everybody. They'll welcome you into their home, make some food for you, get to know you. I think that if you approach them with a desire to understand them and not approach them with
a
level of
entitlement. Yeah.
Yes. So we don't approach them with entitlement. Don't approach them with thinking like you're better. Because sometimes you might not realize it, that you might be talking to someone as if you think you're better than them or that you know better than them. And there's ways to communicate without offending, because Ghanaians can become offended if you talk to them in a way like you're talking down to them. So it's important that you let people know that you're learning as well, and you're trying to understand them as well. So it's a two-way thing to try to understand people. So just be curious, ask questions, and always be like
intentional. It sounds like just intentional and authentic.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Have some manners, your people didn't taught you something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to get into some economic discussions and some investment discussions really quick too, because I know that Ghana is hosting the African Real Estate Festival in April of 2026.
That's right.
And I know that they're targeting $200 million in diaspora investment. But obviously after the parties and after the festivals, what is your take on the long-term actual economic impact of diaspora investments and engagement?
I think that the long-term impact is huge. The potential of people investing in the country will have a ripple effect, because when you think about it, there have been a lot of diaspora that have come and started businesses, and then they've employed local people. And with the unemployment being at a high rate in amongst the young population, people are always looking for opportunities to get work. So I think that the diaspora coming in and starting businesses is definitely going to be a huge impact long term, because when you think about it, let's say you start a company and you hire 10 people. Those 10 people, of course, is going to affect their community, because now they're able to take care of their families. They're able to go, shopping for stuff, and going shopping at that store helps that person who owns that store, who then helps their family, and so on and so forth. So I think that it's definitely a ripple effect. And I think that what happens too is it's also a rebuilding of relationship, in my opinion, because we have been disconnected. Africans have been disconnected with the diaspora in the Americas, and with people coming back to the continent, it's an opportunity for us to learn and grow with each other. Because sometimes you don't realize how similar we can be. We have our differences, of course, because we've lived in different parts of the world, but there are some similarities that we do share. I remember the mayor of New Orleans in 2019 coming and seeing marching bands that were marching around at a funeral, and she had said that she's seen that in New Orleans, that it was like very similar to what she sees in New Orleans and seeing it in Ghana. So we have some similarities. And so the reconnecting, I think, is also a very valuable aspect of investing, and that's investing in our relationships. But economically, I think it definitely has a big impact for us to talk about actually coming together and building things, having cross businesses, because there have been African Americans who've come and partnered with Ghanaians with doing business. And it's a great potential to grow, and you're growing on both sides. So I think that the impact is huge.
Yeah. They say that 12 million young Africans enter the workforce every year, but only 3 million formal jobs are created. How can diaspora-led businesses help close that gap without exploiting cheap labor?
I think that they close the gap by just simply offering the opportunities to give them work, and also teach skills, because one of the things that I've noticed is that we do have brilliant and young people here who have capabilities of doing things, but sometimes when you're not exposed to different ways of doing things, you don't always get a chance to take it to the next level. So if somebody comes from the US, let's say somebody's in the IT industry, there may be some technologies or things that they know from working in the US that now they're bringing here, and then they're teaching these young people, and then they end up getting to teach it to someone else. It ends up also, as I said, having a ripple effect. So I think that it definitely closes the gap, because I have heard about people who've come, and there's a guy who started a cashew company, and so he's got his people on the cashew farm who are working. There's somebody who came and started a fish farming and coconut farm, and so he has his workers. So it's like you come, and then you, as one person, you're employing a number of people. So it definitely is something that's helping to close the gap when it comes to unemployment here. So I always encourage people that this is your opportunity to start a business that will also make an impact when you come to countries like Ghana, or if you choose another African country, because I know Kenya is also now inviting the diaspora to come as well. So each country has opportunities available. I know some gentlemen who came from Atlanta, and they've started a business in Senegal as well as here in Ghana. So you have the opportunity to make an impact using the skills that you have. But plan. That's one thing I keep on addressing and pinpointing to people, that you have to plan. You can't just jump into it and think that you're going to be successful within a few months. You have to plan.
Okay. So I know Beyond the Return was Ghana's follow-up to the Year of Return, and you were on the inside of this movement. Is the Ghanaian government infrastructure and support catching up with the invitation they extended to the diaspora?
You said, is the infrastructure catching up to it?
Yes.
I think that, the Year of Return, when the Year of Return started, I don't think that they realized how much people were going to respond to it.
Okay.
It became more monumental than we anticipated. So I remember it's like, the example I use is, it's like having a party at your house and you've invited 100 people and then 3,000 people show up. You weren't ready.
Yeah.
So I think that they didn't realize how many people were going to come. And that's when the Beyond the Return was the follow-up to continue and to deepen it further with, different pillars to talk about the investment, talk about the history and heritage, Pan-Africanism, and different things to try to stay connected with the people. I think that they're working slowly towards it. There is a new government now, so they're not really pushing the Beyond the Return brand as before. Now they've started the Black Star Experience, which is, they've started. So I'm not working with them anymore. So I'm not inside like before, but they have the Black Star Experience that they've started, which also has a lot of similarities to the Beyond the Return initiative, except there's also a strong pull on connecting with the Ghanaian diaspora, Ghanaians who live abroad, to encourage them to come back. One thing that I noticed when I was working there was that with African Americans and Jamaicans and people from Suriname, different parts of South America coming to Ghana, then all of a sudden the Ghanaians who lived abroad were like, wait a minute, they're coming to my country and I'm not going to my country? Oh my goodness, I need to go. Why am I not going? And they're going. They're having a good time in my country. So a lot of Ghanaians started to feel like, wow, what are people seeing in my homeland that I'm not seeing, and I need to see it too. So the Black Star Experience is also connecting with them, and also has a lot of focus on the creative arts as well. So I think that the government is slowly trying to build infrastructure, but I know that there's, I know there's challenges, but they're slowly trying to do something.
So I know that real estate seems to be an entry point for many diaspora investors. Is that the smartest sector, or are there other areas like tech, agricultural, renewable energy that needs more attention? Because you just said something. What's the new project that you're working on?
I'm not working with the government anymore at this time, but it is their latest initiative called the Black Star Experience. But to answer your question about what other things that people can invest in besides real estate, I think real estate is great if you have the capital to get started, because real estate, if you're trying to build and develop a project, it's capital intensive. But if you're trying to partner with an existing real estate company and be an agent, you have to go through your certifications in Ghana to be an agent, to be selling. So that's different. That's something that you could do. It's an easy way to get in, pay for your certification, get certified, and then partner with an existing company. However, agriculture has a huge opportunity. Agriculture has huge opportunity that people are missing out on. And people aren't realizing that that is a place that you can get into. But again, that takes capital, a little bit of capital as well. So getting things like tractors and the tools that you need to cultivate the farm are something that will set you back in the beginning. But long term, people always eat. People always need to eat. And so it's something that you can get into. And if you have money to invest in something like that, you can even invest in an existing farm. So I tell some people sometimes, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, try to come in and do something brand new. You can spend some time and try to find somebody who needs an investor to invest in so that you can help them scale up the business. And then you're a partner investing in the business. So you don't have to, it's not rocket science, There was a guy I know who came in and he lived in the US and he moved to Ghana and he bought an existing car wash. And so he saw that his car wash could be improved, could do better, and then he invested in it. And so that's an example of investing in something that exists, that is solving a problem for the people, because Ghana is very dusty. It's a very dusty place. And so people are always having to wash their cars all the time. So if you have a car wash that is a quality one, good service, all that, you could probably do really well. Good location. So going back to agriculture, there's a lot of fertile land in Ghana. So many things that grow here people don't realize. And I met a man who, and this is not a diasporan, but this is a Ghanaian man who left banking and decided to go into farming. And now he's the biggest exporter of sweet potatoes from Ghana and okra. So it's like these things that you don't think about that could be lucrative. There's a young lady who has a pineapple farm. She is, I think she's Ghanaian, and I can't remember what her other side is, but she's half Ghanaian and half, I think, somewhere from Europe. And she's got a pineapple farm. And so there's different things that you can be doing that could be valuable in agriculture. Coconuts are a huge thing. People love coconut water. So there's different things that people can get into. You just come in, take your time, investigate, and see what you can get into. Coffee grows in Ghana. That's another thing. So there's so many different industries that you can look at that have great potential if you're willing to do it. So real estate's not the only thing. It's getting the most high profile because of social media and because of events like the upcoming conference that you're talking about. But it's definitely a big one because real estate usually is an indicator of how a country is growing and developing. So I understand why that is a top point that people look at.
So do you have any recommendations that people can research or seek to connect if they do want to invest in those type of initiatives, from agriculture to tech or anything outside of real estate in Ghana that you are familiar with or have relationships with?
Well, people can reach out to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, with respect to getting information. They have a diaspora desk. And so when you get to them and you ask for the diaspora desk, you can have conversations with them to find out what industries are currently most open that they can look into when it comes to doing business. And then you can ask them about agriculture. They can lead you in the right direction as to who you should be talking to in those areas. And then also there's the diaspora groups. So for African Americans specifically, there's the African American Association of Ghana. They have great resources that you can connect with and speak with them, and they can answer your questions. If you're coming from the Caribbean, there's the Ghana Caribbean Association. So a lot of them are veterans who've been living in the country for a long time and can advise you on certain things. So I often say it's good to connect with the diaspora groups when you come as well, because they'll put you on an email list. They'll make sure that you get information. You can always ask them questions about things that you need to help you.
Okay. So for someone listening right now who's inspired to relocate to Ghana, what are 3 things that they should do, not later, but now?
3 things they should do now. 3 things they should do if they want to start business in Ghana?
Yeah, so if they want to move, but whether people want to get into a professional sector along with moving. So what are 3 things that you would suggest that they do now to even prepare? I know you mentioned going to the diaspora groups, or there's different, but people don't know. So financially and to live, like for living and for enterprise and for investing. 3 things.
Okay. So I think I touched on a little bit of it. So when it comes to doing business, like the key place to connect with is the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, because they can really guide you on who you should connect with when it comes to doing business in Ghana. They are a government agency, so they will have also any rules and regulations that you need to follow. And then if you're looking at an exporting business, because exporting businesses are also another way of doing work in Ghana without starting a bricks and mortar. So if you've got an LLC or some kind of business in your home country, and then you come to Ghana, you may find a product here that you want to export somewhere else. If that's the case, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority is who you can connect with to help guide you on doing an exporting business and letting you know that you should have a business registered in your home country. And then you come to Ghana, then you are a business person who's exporting from here to another country. So connecting with the Ghana Export Promotion Authority is also one that you can connect with when it comes to looking at business opportunities in Ghana. There's there's organizations based on your country. So there's the Canada, Ghana Chamber of Commerce. There's also that one for the US, joining expat groups. There's a lot of expat groups for the diaspora in general. Then there's expat groups for Americans, for Europeans. There's different expat groups that you can also join, that some of them have meetings. There's the Rotary Clubs. The Rotary Clubs also are a great resource for getting information on doing business in Ghana. Some of these organizations will always send you information about events that come up, because in Ghana, there's often a lot of conferences that come up. And when you're here and you're attending those conferences, that is a key to networking. So in Ghana, networking is key. You have to network. People are very much into in-person relationships. People are slow to respond to emails. They would rather get a call or a WhatsApp message and then communicate and meet. Prepare for a lot of in-person dinner, lunch meetings, drinks meetings to discuss business.
That's some good
So
information.
prepare to build relationship when it comes to doing business, because people will invest in people they know. And if they don't know you, they don't feel comfortable. So if you're always going to these events, so for example, tomorrow is the Africa Prosperity Dialogues. It's a 3-day event. It's one of those things that people will go to network, specifically because they want to meet people in similar industries. And then you take it from there to start building and growing relationships. So I would advise people to, if you're a shy person, you need to get out of your shell and get ready to start talking to people and start getting to know people, because Ghanaians are very big on conversations, meeting in person, WhatsApp chats over emails. So it's very important that you adjust to that, because that was one thing that I had a hard time adjusting to was, why can't we do this in an email? We could get this done in an email, but it's like people want to meet in person and talk. So prepare to invest your time in conversations to meet people when it comes to doing business. So again, the GIPC, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GEPA, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority are two places that you can connect with to help you when you're trying to look at doing business in Ghana. And then because you're from the diaspora, connected to the Diaspora Affairs Office is also a good way to get information, because they also help people with getting their residency permits. Because once you get your residency permit, that helps you when you're trying to do business, because you also need to get a Ghana card, which helps you when you're doing business in the country as well.
That's great. Thank you so much. I know that's a wealth of knowledge right there, but we're going to get now into you a little bit, if you don't mind.
Okay.
And all your greatness. So I know you've built the Prosper Creative Group, and you're creating content that changes the narrative, and you're consulting on major projects. What's the legacy that you want to leave in Ghana?
My legacy is in continued stories being told. I want my work to have impacted not only the diaspora in coming to Ghana, but also in the local young people. So part of my purpose is also through changing people's lives through conversations. So using my experiences to share with young people in Ghana and other places that I talk to people on how they can make an impact in their lives as well. So I want my legacy to be that what I've done has changed someone's life, has made someone see Africa differently. That's what I want my legacy to be, that my work made someone see the continent differently.
So what are some of the methods and or messages that you're doing through storytelling or through content? I know you mentioned about a production company. If you want to elaborate on those things and like how you're turning storytelling, content, and messaging into empowerment and elevation.
So with storytelling, I have the opportunity to work with foreign projects when they come to Ghana, and being the person on the ground that helps with shaping the story. So for example, I've done some work with ITV News out of the UK, with CBC Noble Films out of Canada. That was a show called For the Culture. I helped to work on 3 episodes that they filmed here in Ghana, talking about the impact of the diaspora coming, as well as talking about relationships in Ghana, and sports and how sports connects the youth. And then opportunity with ITV News, a story that was about the cultural aspect of funerals in Ghana. And when you're the person on the ground, like myself, you get to be the person to make sure that the story is told in a way that it tells the authenticity without taking away from the people, and also making sure that you share a narrative that's going to educate and also change people's minds and perceptions, showing content that makes people say, wow, I didn't really know that that's how it was. And so that is the goal, is being able to tell stories from the perspective of people here, because it's been hundreds of years of stories being told from the other perspective, and now it's an opportunity for us to tell from our perspective. So that's what I've been able to get a chance to do, is working on some of these projects.
Who's a Ghanaian that you've met who's embodied the spirit of Pan-Africanism, and what did they teach you?
A Ghanaian that's embodied the spirit of Pan-Africanism and what they taught me. I would say it is a woman named Professor Essie Sutherland Addy. She is a woman who embodies Pan-Africanism, and I learned from her how important it is for us to tell our stories, and how important it is for us to look to the past in order to learn from our past to shape the future, and also why we need to also always consider culture in some of our narratives. So she is one woman that I absolutely love, and I think she's amazing. She embodies it 100%. She's a professor at the School of African Studies at the University of Ghana, and she's also the head of the Pan-Africanist Foundation, which is a Pan-African organization that does events every 2 years. So that is one woman that is a force, in my opinion.
That's fantastic. What's the most sacred and profound experience that you've had in Ghana?
The most sacred and profound experience.
Yes.
Sacred or profound.
Or profound experience that just kind of changed your perception, inspired you, that stays in your soul.
So it would be the moment. So this was a really interesting day. So it was, and I think there's actually pictures and videos of this, but it was in 2019 and it was at the NAACP. About 250 people came to Ghana and arrived at the airport. And looking around and seeing all these people, it was just like, wow, all of these people who've traveled from the US, some had come in from other places as well. Like some people had come in from the Caribbean and other places. And the airport was just packed. And then there were cultural dancers who came, because in 2019, a lot of people got cultural dancers to come and greet them at the airport and stuff. So there were cultural dancers there, and the cultural dancers were from different groups. So oftentimes when we see videos online, the cultural dancers are usually the Akan, like the Ashanti people come from the Akans. So the Akan dance, the Ajwa dance is what we would often see. But this one, there were people from the north, there were people from the Ga, so there were like different groups. So it was this mishmash of Black people from North America, South America, Caribbean, and then in Ghana, that from different groups who were all in this one place. And just everybody was just, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. And that was like just the beginning, because then in the evening, there was a gala dinner where after they did all their speeches and everything, all of a sudden the DJ comes on and this one woman went on the mic. She's a WNBA player and her name is escaping me right now, but she went on the mic and she was like, everybody ready to have fun? And then everybody just got up. And these are all people from different places, from America, from Canada, from Jamaica, from Trinidad, from Suriname, from the Netherlands, from Ghana. Some people came from Nigeria. And literally the music came on. There's people on this side, empty lane in the middle. And this old granny starts dancing in the middle. And everybody's like, go granny. Everybody's like, and I was like, we're all from different places. We are all from different places, but we are all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I said, this is the global Black family.
Amen.
The global Black family. Everybody is doing the same thing and not even realizing we've been doing the same thing. And that was a profound moment for me, because I was like, we are the same people. We may be in different parts of the world, but we are the same people. And that was a really big moment for me. Yeah.
Wow. But I only have two other questions for you. One is, if Ghana were a person, how would you describe them? Their personality, their quirks, their gifts, and their flaws?
If Ghana was a person, that's a good one. I haven't had someone ask me that one before. That's a good one. Ghana would be that sister or brother who, when you arrive home, you haven't seen them in a while, and they're so excited to see you. They give you a big, huge hug. And they're just so excited that you're there, and they invite you to come home, come to my house, come sit down, come relax. And then you're sitting there relaxed and you're just like, wow, I'm home. I'm so excited. And then you're like, is there anything to eat? You're like, you're home. You know where the fridge is. Go get it. Go get it yourself. You're home. You can go get it yourself. I'm just like, oh, okay. And constantly it's like, yeah, you're a member of the family. We may get on each other's nerves, but you're a member of the family. That's how I see Ghana. I see it like that. And that whole go get it yourself is the customer service. Go get it yourself.
Yeah.
You're home, go get it yourself.
It might be strict. It might be stern on you. It might require a lot out of you, but it's all for the best for you, right? It's not going to pacify you. It's tough love sometimes.
Yeah. And also is that person who always wants to be polite and doesn't want to offend you. They're always not wanting to offend you, and they want to be nice about everything and smile and be like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. That's how I would describe Ghana. Yeah. And they always want to feed you. They're that auntie that wants to feed you all the time and tell you you haven't eaten enough food. Keep eating that food.
So what's next for you? What are you building, creating, or opening yourself to in Ghana that excites you?
Well, right now I am growing my YouTube channel. That's what my current goal is growing it. I'm currently at about 38,000 subscribers, and my goal is to get to 100K. And then I'm starting a new podcast that is called The Prosper Conversation. And that one is going to be interviewing a lot of people who are in business and getting strategic conversations on business and life advice and tips and those kinds of things. So that's the new podcast that I'm working on right now. It's going to be on YouTube and likely on, I'll probably put it on SoundCloud and Spotify. It is a work in progress.
Where can people find you?
They can find me online. I am Ivy Prosper on all platforms. My website is ivyprosper.com or prospercreativegroup.com. And then on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, I'm Ivy Prosper. So my name is what it is everywhere, Ivy Prosper.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and agreeing to be a guest and giving all your insight, your knowledge, your wisdom, your perspective is just so respected and appreciated. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
too. I really appreciate
you
want to say?
I really appreciate you reaching out to me. This has been a really good conversation, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the episodes of everybody that you're interviewing for your podcast.
Thank you. All right. Well, until next time, thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode for Welcome to Africa. The Airport Ashley Chronicles signing off. Bye-bye.